There is a man standing in front of a blank white wall at Fort Bragg, holding an unloaded pistol, and he has been raising it, pressing the trigger on an empty chamber and lowering it for hours. Last month, this man survived the most brutal assessment in the American military. He is a Green Beret with combat deployments, a Ranger before that, one of the last few standing out of well over 100 who started. He came through the fence expecting to learn what he calls the ninja stuff, shooting from helicopters, the secrets nobody outside the wire ever sees. Instead, an instructor who has forgotten more gunfights than most soldiers will ever hear about told him to face the wall and dry fire and keep dry firing until told to stop. This is the operator training course, and the men who lived it say the same two things about it. It was the most disappointing training of their lives, and it is the entire reason the unit is what it is. Selection is the part the internet knows, the mountain month that gets all the videos. But selection produces exactly nothing except a seat in OTC, roughly 6 months in its original form by Eric Haney's account. And what happens inside those 6 months is where a surviving candidate either becomes an operator or quietly disappears. Subscribe to War Code because the men who went through it, Brent Tucker and Robert Keller among them, have started describing those months on the record, and their version has almost nothing in common with the myth. Start with the fact nobody advertises. Passing selection does not make you safe. Kevin Holland, a career special operations man who watched the pipeline from inside the community, put hard numbers on one class. 120 candidates started, 16 passed selection, and 8 finished OTC. Read that again. Half of the survivors of the worst month of their lives did not survive the training that followed it. Keller says the pressure never announced itself and never left. You are in the fear of your job every day. You can get cut any day. There is no ceremony where the cadre tells you that you have made it, because for 6 more months you have not. Every drill, every room entry, every conversation in the chow line is still an evaluation, run by instructors who do not care where you came from. And the competition never resets in your favor, because the man on your left in every drill also survived the mountain, also came from a special operations career, also refuses to lose. Keller states it as a plain fact of the address. Everyone in that building is better than everyone else in the military, trust me. Which means that for the first time in these men's lives, being exceptional earns exactly nothing. The floor of the room is the ceiling of the army. Tucker reached for a baseball line to describe their attitude toward his years of experience. Telling them about your old deployments is like telling a major league club how many home runs you hit in the minors. Cool story, they told him. It counts for nothing here. And Tucker says the thing being graded through all 6 months is not what outsiders assume. It is not strength, and past a threshold it is not even shooting. It is adaptation speed. People underestimate what a big mental game it is, he says. The cadre are watching how fast a man identifies a problem, identifies the correct problem, and then finds the correct solution, because that speed is the one thing they cannot teach on any range. His instructors told him the brutal economics of it. Maybe, with enough time, they could drag almost any selected man up to standard. But if it takes the cadre a year of investment to get you there, you are not adaptive enough for the problems the unit gets handed, the ones nobody has seen before. And so the investment stops, and so do you. Getting there eventually, Tucker says, still does not get you the prize. Then comes the great insult, and every graduate describes it the same way. The finest soldiers in the Army arrive behind that fence and are sent back to the beginning of shooting itself. Not advanced shooting, the beginning. Dry fire drills, ready-up drills, trigger squeeze, trigger reset, where the finger sits, where the left hand rides the rifle, hour after hour in front of a wall, before anyone is allowed near the shoot house. Keller, arriving off Ranger Battalion, Special Forces, and a combat deployment, admits he was almost offended. I already know how to do this stuff. I want to do CQB. I want to shoot from helicopters. I am here to do the crazy stuff. What he got, in his own words, was day one stuff. The first 3 months, nothing but basics. So slow and so rigid, he calls the room entries book answer. And Tucker explains exactly why the insult is the design. Experience is not an asset on that firing line. It is a liability. Because the more experience you have, the more bad habits the cadre must find and undo. And the habits a man gets away with on a normal range will surface 6 months later inside the most advanced, stress-induced course of fire on Earth. So they break every shooter down to the studs, world-class men doing wax on, wax off in front of drywall, precisely because nobody can outshoot the instructors, and the instructors all rebuilt themselves the same way. Keller offers a confession from his own life that explains what the course is protecting its men from. Before the towers fell, training on his own, he shot the way every motivated soldier and every serious civilian shoots, and he names it honestly. He set up what he imagined gunfights looked like, ran over hills, did burpees between strings, moved and shot, chased the clock, all the fast, fancy stuff, because he had never been in a gunfight and was training for a movie in his head. What actually decides a gunfight, he learned behind the fence, is the constant, bringing the gun up, getting the sight picture, pressing the trigger, boring beyond description, and repeated until flawless. Then he asks the question that separates the unit from the entire shooting world. How many civilians have the discipline to go to the range and do ready-up drills for 5 hours? Nobody does that, he says, because everyone wants the reloads and the running and the gun games. OTC is the only place on Earth where 5 hours of ready-up drills is simply called Tuesday, and where the men doing them are too afraid for their jobs to do them halfway. The volume is where the transformation hides. Keller does not talk in rounds per day. He talks in totals that sound like accounting errors. Hours and hours and hours, and tens of thousands of rounds. The same fundamentals repeated past boredom, past resentment, into something physiological. And then he describes what all that repetition actually purchases, and it is the single best explanation of Delta shooting ever put on the record. In a real gunfight, he says, none of his attention goes to the weapon. He runs the inventory himself. I do not have to worry about where my finger goes on the trigger, going off safe, coming back on safe, where my left hand rides the rifle, the sight picture, none of it, because all of it runs on autopilot, so 100% of his mind is free to read the fight itself, to watch the room, to watch hands. He tells the story of Tom Satterley saying the same thing, that he could engage 2 men and be thinking about a problem across the room while he did it, because the shooting had been drilled so deep it no longer required him. That is what tens of thousands of repetitions buy, not speed for its own sake. A brain with nothing left to do but think. The progression itself is old and unglamorous, and Haney documented its spine. Stationary targets at close range until the groups are surgical. Then movers, targets that cross and turn and travel at human speeds, because human beings do not stand still while being shot at. Only after both are mastered does a man earn the shoot house, and every stage of that ladder is measured against standards the cadre do not publish and do not soften. Keller marks the exact moment the resentment converted into faith, and he calls it his light bulb. It did not switch on at Fort Bragg. It switched on overseas, in real rooms, in real gunfights, when he noticed that everything below his neck was running the OTC program, while everything above it was fighting. The boring stuff he had cursed through those first 3 months was now the reason he could not miss and could not be surprised. Every graduate interview echoes the same arc: contempt for the basics, submission to the basics, and then, on some unnamed objective, the discovery that the basics had quietly become the man, and the cadre engineer the road between those points deliberately. Tucker calls the far end of the course the most advanced, stress-induced course of fire in existence. Fundamentals hammered flat, and then deliberately bent under pressure, fatigue, and consequence stacked onto the line, until the only shooters still standing are the ones whose fundamentals cannot be bent at all. That is the sequence, and it only runs in one direction: perfect first, fast and frightened second. The men who want the order reversed are the ones the course sends home. If you respect the boring work more than the highlight reel, you are built like this channel. Cadets get every video 24 hours early and a badge in the comments. The link is below. Only when the fundamentals are machine grade does the house open. The shoot house at Fort Bragg is the altar of the entire course, the building Haney's founding generation knew by its unofficial name, the House of Horrors, and Haney laid out its liturgy. A man clears a bare room against a single silhouette, then 2, then 3, then 4. Each room a harder discrimination problem, angles multiplying, no shoots mixed among threats. And only when he proves he can sort a 4-target room at speed do the instructors add the thing that changes the meaning of every bullet: hostages. Now the drills run with live ammunition, by design, because the unit decided at its founding that trust between operators had to be manufactured out of something more expensive than words. In the early era, they went further than any force on Earth and put living classmates in chairs beside the paper targets while the rooms ran hot. Tucker confirms the hot seat existed, confirms it appears in the founder's books and the old training film, and confirms it quietly ended somewhere along the way, before his own time in the course. Then he adds the sentence that tells you what OTC builds. I would sit in that chair today, any day of the week, and trust my guys to shoot right past my face. That is how good they are. A training pipeline that can produce that sentence from a graduate has done something no qualification badge measures. And then, OTC stops being a shooting school entirely and becomes something no other unit runs. Breaching instruction covers locks the polite way and the loud way. Picks, charges, and demolitions built from materials you could buy on a Saturday morning, because a hostage rescue force cannot be stopped by a door. Combined exercises fuse everything. Assault problems in buildings and aircraft designed with input from the FBI and the aviation agencies, marksmanship and explosives and movement solved together at full speed, and the students learn the unglamorous scaffolding of the trade in the same weeks, where a sniper overwatch position actually goes, how a tactical operations center gets built from nothing, how the communications architecture of a raid holds together when the plan does not. A tradecraft block arrives, taught by intelligence officers. Dead drops, signals, surveillance, and counter-surveillance. The arts of being watched and not knowing it. Soldier skills giving way to spy skills for weeks at a time. For men who have spent their careers being the loudest thing on any objective, those weeks are the strangest of the course, because the grade is invisibility, and a lifetime of command presence is suddenly one more habit the cadre wants unlearned. An executive protection block follows, shaped by the Secret Service and the State Department's protective professionals, with a driving course that teaches men to use a sedan the way they use a rifle. And through all of it runs the unit's oldest habit, hunting down the best practitioner alive of any skill and dragging them to Fort Bragg, world champion shooters like Jerry Mikulek and Rob Leatham on the Flat Range, convicted burglars on the door problems, and, after one too many buildings caught fire around their flashbangs in the Middle East, a full week embedded at the New York City Fire Academy, riding trucks and learning exactly how long a burning house gives you to find the hostage inside it. Tucker's summary of the place has no equal in the literature. It was the Disneyland of tactics. Somewhere in those months, the sorting begins too, because a squadron is not a room full of identical men. Some gravitate toward the assault troops, some toward the long guns, some toward the reconnaissance and surveillance work that Delta guards most jealously of all, and the cadre watch the drift the way they watch everything else, as data. The course closes with a culmination exercise, a full mission problem that demands everything at once: the shooting, the breaching, the tradecraft, the judgment, and the men who pass it walk into an operational squadron with no parade and no diploma worth framing. Graduates describe the strangest part of arrival being the quiet, a building where rank goes by first names, where nobody salutes indoors, and where the only currency that spends is competence, starting from zero again. What they carry instead is a standard, and both graduates define it identically without coordinating. Tucker quotes the unit's own phrase, "Performing the commonplace under uncommonplace conditions. We just do the basics better than everyone else." Keller compresses it further, "Brilliance in the basics," and the standard sustains itself in a way that explains everything about the culture on that compound. Nobody schedules your training after OTC, Keller says. No one tells you to go shoot. No one tells you to go do PT. And the ranges stay full anyway, because no man in that building can stomach being the weak point of his team. Even there, he admits, someone is still the worst shooter on the team, leaps and bounds beyond anyone else in the Army, and still at the bottom of that particular room. And the cadre picked him anyway, because he brought a language, or an intelligence skill, or something the team needed more than another artist with a pistol. Keller describes what that self-driven pressure looks like from inside, and there is real joy in his telling. If one man finds a way to do something faster, the whole building starts chasing it by the weekend. Nobody assigns physical training, nobody schedules range time, nobody even tells anyone to go practice on the dirt bikes, and all of it happens anyway, relentlessly, because the only unbearable thing on that compound is being the reason your team is slower. That place is so freaking cool, he says, and the reason is that everyone in it has the same mentality. The unit does not collect the 100 best shooters in America. It builds teams out of men who refuse to stop improving, and OTC is 6 months of proving you are one of them. So here is the fight to have in the comments, and the community reading this will split hard. The internet has spent 20 years mythologizing the mountain month, the rucksacks, the misery, and this channel has honored it too. But the men who actually crossed that fence, men who traded every badge and beret they had earned for a unit that issues neither, keep telling us the same inconvenient thing, that the month everyone films only finds the raw material, and the 6 unfilmed months of dry fire and drywall are what actually build the operator. So take a position. Is the real filter the suffering that selects the man, or the boredom that forges him? Could you survive the month that breaks bodies? And could you then survive half a year of being told your decade of experience starts over at a blank wall? One of those tests is physical. The other one is mental, invisible, and 6 times as long, and it is the reason there are only ever a few hundred of them on this earth at a time. Argue it below, and be honest about which one would have ended you. Official members get the versions that do not survive the public cut, the details and accounts we trim before publish. The door is below.